Hey everyone, thanks for listening to Limited Engagement. I'm your host for the show, Jared Duran. My guests on the show today on this episode, I don't know why I'm talking like that, are Carly Schorman and Dale Rasmussen. And they're kicking off a series of shows that I'll talk about in a minute. But first, the bit that you all tune in for, which is me talking about myself for a few minutes, right? I mean, that's the whole reason anybody listens to this. It's not for the interviews, not for the conversations, not for interest in the person I'm talking to after. It's just about me, right? Anyway, so I guess I am back to being out there again. I don't know. What do you say out there on the scene? I don't know. What do I say about this? If anything, maybe I don't have to say anything at all. I just leave parts of my life a mystery, except this is pretty much the only place that, I talk things through is on this podcast. Otherwise, it just spins in my head. I guess I talked to Susu about it a little bit, but it seems like, her opinion on everything is pretty much that I should be doing better. I don't know. You gotta. Is this everybody's cat? Does everybody's cat just sound like they're constantly disapproving of you and your choices when they talk to you? But I don't know. She is the best cat. So where was I? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know that it's actually done. It's kind of just hanging out there. I'm at this sort of juncture, I guess. Maybe it's not a juncture. Whatever you want to call it. Where I'm 36, almost 37. I don't want to get married. I also don't want to just hook up and have some casual thing. There's got to be something in between there, right? I don't want kids. I don't want to live with anybody. And it seems that I'm also, I'm not wild about the idea of dating somebody much younger than I am, just for the headache of having to try to explain all of the pop culture references that I use in my everyday conversation. It's just, I don't know. It's too much. Dating, being in my mid to late 30s and dating somebody in their mid to late 20s is there's too much difference going on there. And most of the time they're just not sure where they are in life yet. And you end up sort of being some kind of stepping stone for them or something, or some avenue through which they're figuring their life out. I don't know, maybe that's a little because it used to be the other way around. When I was in my mid to late 20s, I was dating women who were in their mid to late 30s. And I feel like maybe that's what I was doing. Who knows? I'm not going to analyze that part of it here. That's more than I can handle today. But But people my same relative ballpark age, for the most part, are, it seems, kind of, looking to settle down and have the kids and do the, marriage thing or living together thing. And so is it that unusual? Am I just not meeting the right people? I don't know. I like, I'm a fairly sensitive person. I had that under layers and layers of sarcasm and acerbic wit, and maintaining a healthy distance and, or unhealthy. That could be too. And I like the feeling of being in love. It's one of the best feelings. When you find that your things kind of, work with their things, and I am a little bit of a romantic. And those are things I like. So it makes it difficult to follow the other impulse, which is to just not invest myself in anything at all and be, I don't know. That would be going the other way and trying to hide any of that stuff or deny any of that part of myself would just be, I think, a step in the wrong direction. This whole thing, this journey into approaching 40 here and having several things sort of coincide at once, and arriving at this place of sort of what I was talking about earlier during the pre-summer, where suddenly everything seemed great, was that being more relaxed and kind of just rolling with things, not subscribing to fate so much as the mystery of life and love and how things kind of seem to just happen when they sort of should happen, and they last as long as they last. I'm still all on board with all of that. And part of that is, unfortunately, having, it's like that song. Well, it's like two songs, right? There's that old, I fall in love too easily, I fall in love too fast. And then there's the slightly more, more, I think, probably apropos Wilco song, I'm Always in Love. So I don't know. It's just, and like I said, I don't even know if the person that I was seeing, if that's, it's just like, I think that I have this tendency to feel too much too quickly, and they kind of scared her off a little bit. And I don't know. Is that all asking too much? The wanting to, is that the whole wanting to have your cake and eat it too thing? Which, first of all, why would you want anything else? Why would you have cake but then not eat it? I've never gotten that. Are you just having cake to have it sit there and look like cake? No, you want to eat the cake. I think that's a terrible saying, but in the universal lexicon of things, there it is. And I want to just kind of live my life the way I want to live it, and I would like to share some aspects of that with someone. But I also, I was thinking about that. I was actually writing something briefly about that incorporated this idea of I am unfortunately best at being alone with somebody else. And I think that might be the problem. So, to this episode, the wonderful folks over at YabYum are doing their first sort of fictional serial podcast, which is called Confessions from the Nocturne Nebula. And the concept of this is right up my alley. I love old-time radio shows, and I love science fiction. One of my favorite things ever is the old Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy radio show, like the original version of it. I love it's everything about it. There's just something about this sort of happy place between completely relying on your imagination to come up with an image while reading, and then having the imagery dictated to you by a show or movie or something. And you have these voices and the interaction and the sound effects, and it can all kind of, as you're listening to it, you get to conjure up your own vision of it. And I always love that. I love the Shadow, the old stuff like that, the War of the Worlds. I used to eat those things up as a kid. And this is right along in that sort of vein, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Again, it's Confessions from the Nocturne Nebula. It is going to drop in October. And for the rest of the month, I'm going to be talking to the people behind that. So on this episode, it's Dale Rasmussen and Carly Schorman who wrote the script for it. And in the case of Dale, acted in it and directed it as well. And then subsequent shows are going to be talking about the kind of sound production that went into it. There's one where I'm going to talk to a couple of the actors, and then Carly and Mark Anderson are going to be back to talk about the executive production of it and what all went into kind of the nuts and bolts of it and putting it all together and getting it out into the world. So that's going to be the next 4 shows of that. That's the first time I've kind of devoted that kind of time to a project like that, and it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to this podcast, and I hope you guys will listen to these and get excited about it as well. Again, that's Confessions from the Nocturne Nebula. It's if you go to YabYumWest.com, you can see the trailer. I'll put a link up in the show description, so you can just, if you go to the show notes, and the link will be right there, and check that out. And let's get on into this conversation with Carly and Dale.
I'd say potato.
What's that from?
Gosh, isn't that Saturday Night Live? Where
Christopher Walken?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, okay.
Potato.
I thought it reminded me, I don't know. All that stuff blends together. It sounded like a Simpsons thing for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, definitely a Simpsons house, so.
At this point, I figure pretty much every joke has been on The Simpsons.
Yeah,
probably.
Everything's a Simpsons
I'm sure,
reference
probably
now.
twice at this point, at least.
Mark and I talk about it. We just watched Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Nice.
And we were talking about Streetcar Named Desire. And and he's like, have I seen this, or have I only seen this on The Simpsons? So.
Right, it's like, The Raven. Or any, is it have I seen the real version or the Simpsons version comes up a lot. Like, I think I'm sure I've seen the Simpsons version of The Shining more often than I've seen
the actual
Shining.
Yeah.
I've seen it a couple of times. It's one I enjoy. Yeah. Well, so you braved the the drive all the way over from...
My God, man.